This is the Al-Maida Initiative, conversation without compromise.
So Iraqi Kurds, the Kurdish Peshmerga forces, we saw with the rise of ISIS in 2014, they went into Raqqa, into Syria, and when they came into Mosul, for example, in Iraqi regions, it was the Kurds that pushed back ISIS. When the Iraqi military forces fled, and Kirkuk was the Kurds that, they were nearing Kirkuk, Kirkuk, my hometown, and it was the Kurds that came in and took control of that territory where there was a vacuum to be filled. If that vacuum wasn't filled by the Kurdish military forces, it would be filled by ISIS today. Same thing in Syria, in northeast Syria. The Americans and the international community were looking for an ally. They tried the Free Syrian Army to fight the Assad regime that failed, and then when ISIS rose in 2014, they were still lacking a strong, united force that can face ISIS on the ground. The Free Syrian Army was divided into many factions. Many of them were designated terror organizations by the U.S. Many of them were affiliated with Al-Qaeda groups. But the Kurds were able to form a united front. The Kurds are known to be great fighters, fierce fighters on the ground. And the Kurds did something very unique that the other coalitions did not. The other groups did not. They included both ethnic and religious minorities of northeast Syria. So it wasn't what we call today the Syrian Democratic Forces. It wasn't just the Kurds that were fighting in the front lines. It was also Arabs, there was Armenians, there was Syriacs, there was Assyrians, it was all the indigenous Muslims, Arabs, it was all the indigenous Syrian population. Yes, it composed a majority Kurds, but this is what the international coalition was looking to do, and it was successful. That's why this incursion is a betrayal in the eyes of the Kurds. With the allowing Turkey to come in and invade as it wants, taking 30% of territory, it's just not what the Kurds expected from the United States.
So, right before we get to that,
yeah.
So post ISIS, let's talk about the lay of the map for the Kurds in the Middle East. So we've got it seems like the closest, the best place for the Kurds and self-determination right now would probably be Iraq, right?
Today, it was prior to the 2017 referendum, yes, but because they took that step. Like all Kurds, for independent Kurdistan, I fully support self-determination. But in my opinion, the 2017 referendum largely failed because of internal issues the KRG, the Kurdistan Regional Government, had at that time, and which they still do. So yes, the answer is that the KRG Iraqi Kurds are the closest to gaining self-determination. But at the same time, they've taken 10 steps back with that referendum that they went with in 2017.
And then before the invasion, what was the position of the Kurds in northern Syria? What was the hope there?
Right. So before the invasion of this invasion, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So the hope was to continue the self-governing territory that they have carved out. Which includes 30% of Syrian territory. They don't want a state of their own. That's very important. Many critics will tell you that they're trying to carve out their own state. No, they want to stay within the borders of Syria, but through a decentralized system. That means delegitimizing the Assad regime, going away from Damascus, and allowing the population of northeast Syria to govern themselves. Because the alternative is back to the Assad regime. The alternative is going with the Ba'athist regime that was governing Syria since the 70s. So their hope was to continue this self-governing system that they created since 2015, east of the Euphrates River, which is 30% territory, holds about 80 to 90% of Syrian resources, which empowers women. They have which empowers ethnic and religious minorities. Remember, the civil war is continuing. Turkish threats are coming from the north. Many factions, Shiite militias, Russian mercenaries, Assad forces, for example, are continuing to threaten this territory, while ISIS may be defeated as far as the caliphate. At that time it wasn't, but now it may be defeated, but there are still an estimated 20,000 fighters across Syria and Iraq. They created this a very, to a certain degree, very stable territory region for themselves in northeast Syria. And now this is being threatened by Turkey's Erdogan. And it was largely successful, yes, because of the global coalition, which included the United States and 80 members.